Good morning and welcome to the most exciting part of your day, the financial presentation. I'm Bonnie Lebowski. I'm the Assistant Director of Student Accounts, and I'm going to give a crash course in Bursar 101. So pull out your earbuds and silence your cell phones and prop open your eyelids, and here we go. So what does a bursar's office do? The word bursar comes from the Latin word for purse, which means that we have something to do with your wallet. We put the charges on your account: tuition fees, room and board if you live on campus, other charges that you may incur. We issue your bills. We process payments and apply other credits to your account. We manage Del Val's payment plans. We process refunds for eligible students. We provide online access to your student account 24/7. And we administer a prepaid plan called RAM dollars, and I'll talk about each of these in detail. These are the standard tuition and fees charges that we will apply to your student account. The tuition for 12 to 19 credits, student activity fee, comprehensive fee, which is going to be renamed the general fee at some point, and the contingency deposit. The contingency deposit is one time only. All of the other fees and tuition are charged per term. Here at Del Val, we use the word term instead of semester, in case you're wondering about that. Students who enroll in certain majors or certain courses will incur extra costs. That's all detailed on the Bursar tuition webpage. If you live on campus, this is what you're going to see on your bill. These particular charges are for a standard residence hall room assignment and for the 7-day discount dining plan with $50 flex. Your actual charges may be different if you have a different room assignment and a different meal plan. And these are the total charges for the year. Now, this is all before financial aid. There's another charge that will appear on your bill, at least temporarily. We require all full-time students to have health insurance, and we pre-bill every student's account. This year it's $1,816 for the student health plan. It's a little bit more if you're a summer bridge student. If you already have medical coverage, you're going to want to know how to get rid of this charge. Do a lot of people already have health insurance? Okay. If you don't want to pay for our health plan, you need to opt out, and we call that waiving the insurance. I talked with a couple of you this morning who have already done this, but this is separate from any materials that you provide to the health center. This is entirely separate process. This affects your bill. The things that they're taking from you do not. If you don't want to pay for more health insurance, you have to do the waiver online. And there are 3 important dates for waiving the insurance. If you don't even want it to show on your bill in July, then you need to waive it by June 30th. If you don't waive it by June 30th and you don't want to pay for it on July 31st, then you need to waive it by July 31st. If you still haven't waived it by July 31st, you're going to have a late fee on your account, but you can still get the cost of the insurance off if you waive it by September 21st. And after that, we would purchase a policy for you. It would become non-refundable. If you don't have insurance, you need to enroll in our student health plan online, because you will not get an ID number until you enroll, so you would not be able to use it until you enroll. There is a tan sheet in the student folder, I believe, and at the top it says action required, waive or enroll in the health insurance, and those are the specific instructions for doing the online waiver or enrollment. And the link is, we have a shortcut, delval.edu/waiver. You get an email when your waiver is successful. You do have to do this every year. The waiver or enrollment is only good for a year at a time. Payment deadlines. On July 2nd, we're going to post your e-bills online, and we're going to mail you a paper bill. By July 31st, you either need to pay your balance after pending aid in full or submit proof of satisfactory payment arrangements. And for the spring term, those e-bills will be posted online starting on November 15th, and by December 15th, you have to pay the spring bill in full or provide proof of satisfactory payment arrangements. And these deadlines are the same every year. So what do we mean by satisfactory payment arrangements? To avoid a fall term late fee of $200, you have to make all of your arrangements by July 31st. And that could be payment in full, by cash, personal check, or online payment. It could be that if you're waiving the health insurance, you've got to get that waiver done so that we will take the charge off your bill. You can enroll in a payment plan through TOUCHNET. You can apply for a loan. Keep in mind, if you do apply for a loan, only half of it is applied to your account for the fall term, unless you tell the lender that you're only applying for the fall term. If you get an alternative loan or a Parent Plus loan, they have to be approved by the lender. The alternative loan also has to be certified by the school by July 31st. And it's not a quick process to apply for these loans, so make sure you allow enough time. The alternative loans take longer to apply for than the Parent Plus loans. If you're getting payments from a third party, we need to know about it. So if you're getting an outside scholarship, we need to see an award letter so that we know how much is going to be coming in and who it's coming in from. We can't just take an email from you that says, I'm going to be getting a scholarship. We actually have to see proof from the scholarship donor. And keep in mind that Del Val splits that scholarship in half between fall and spring unless we are instructed to apply it all to the fall term. And there are other types of third-party benefits. If you're getting a tuition benefit from a parent's employer, if you're using the post-9/11 GI Bill, if you have a 529 plan, if you have some other type of third-party payment, we need proof of it in advance so we know how much we can count towards your account. And any other arrangement that isn't listed here, you would have to get pre-approval from our office in order for it to count towards your account. And I believe I actually missed a slide. Yes, the tuition statement slide. This is an important one, so I wanted to go back to it. We invoice the fall term in July. And by the way, we use the words statement, bill, and invoice interchangeably. Spring term isn't invoiced till November, so your July bill is not going to have the full year cost on it. It's only going to have the July costs. We only bill once per month, and that is if you have a balance before pending financial aid, which in July will be everybody, but other months it might not be everybody. Keep in mind, we do not issue a new bill every time your account changes. We only bill once per month. We post those bills online as e-bills on the TOUCHNET website. TOUCHNET is our online service provider. We also, to be environmentally friendly, we only mail paper bills twice per year, in July and November. Remember that your statement is a snapshot of your account at the moment that we create it. Your account might change afterward, and then the bill becomes outdated. However, we pay big bucks to TOUCHNET so that you can view your real-time account balance online 24/7 on their websites. You don't have to wait for a new bill. You can always see your balance, the same thing that we can see when we go into the system. When you do receive your bill, please review your statement and make sure it looks complete. All of you would be full-time students. When you get that bill, if it says part-time tuition, that means that you're not registered for at least 12 credits yet, and you should contact the registrar's office about that. And it also means that your bill is not complete, and the amount you owe is going to be very different once you do get registered for at least 12 credits. If you don't see a piece of financial aid on there that you're expecting, you're going to want to contact the financial aid office, because we can only count it towards your bill if it's showing on your bill. The bills do exclude some kinds of future payments. Our system does not allow us to show future payment plan installments. Obviously, it'll show the ones that you've already paid, but the ones that are coming in the future, they're not going to show anywhere on the bill. We don't have a way to show what we expect to receive from the VA for post 9/11 GI Bill students. And if you're going to sign over campus job earnings towards your tuition, then we don't have a way of showing those future earnings. So you won't see any of those on the bill. And that means then that you're going to keep having a balance until those things pay off your account, which is annoying, but that's the way that it is. Okay, so let's get back to here. So if one of your arrangements that you're going to do by July 31st is just making a one-time payment, this is how you can do it. You can do it online 24/7 through TOUCHNET from a bank checking or savings account if you have the routing number and the account number. And if you do that, TOUCHNET doesn't charge a service fee. You can use a credit or debit card, but TOUCHNET will charge a 2.85% service fee for each payment that the card is used for. In our office, you can also pay by cash, check, you can bring a money order. We do not take cards in our office, and we don't take them over the phone, just cash, check, or money order. You can also mail in your payment. Depending on who is writing the check, you're going to send it to one of these two addresses. If it's a personal check or a money order, you can send it to our bank's post office box in Souderton, and they process a little faster that way. But if it's a check from a third party, like a 529 plan, a brokerage account, a scholarship donor, then you need to send it directly to the Bursar's office at East Butler Avenue, because we have to take an extra step to apply that payment to the correct account. Whatever check, if you are paying by check or someone else is paying towards the account by check, make sure it references the student's ID number and name. You could also use a payment plan to make your financial arrangements. There are instructions, I believe it's in the parent folder, the yellow sheet, Del Val's payment plans, and that has the details on how to enroll, but I'll just mention a couple of things. First, you have to calculate the beginning balance of your plan. The system does not do this for you. So you have to put the right amount in so that we can count the right amount towards your account. And if you're enrolling in a fall plan, that's pretty simple. As long as your bill is complete, you're going to use the amount on the fall bill. But if you're enrolling in an annual plan, it has to cover fall and spring. And since we don't bill for spring until November, you might need help figuring out what that is. And so our office can do a cost estimate for you to help you figure out the beginning balance of your payment plan. These are all online plans. You enroll at the TOUCHNET website. You provide bank account information or credit card information, and TOUCHNET automatically withdraws those payments from the bank account or charges them to the card. The installments are automatically withdrawn on the 5th of each month. That date cannot be changed. Even though the payments are automatic, the plan does not automatically adjust if your account changes. So if your charges increase or you get more financial aid, and then your payment plan is not going to be the right amount. In order to have that amount adjusted, the student needs to email the bursar's office from the student's Del Val address and ask us to review their account and make an adjustment to the payment plan. That's the only way that that can be done. If you enroll in the payment plan using the student's login credentials, then only the student will get the payment reminders. So if the parent wants to know when those payments are coming out, we give 5 days notice, and a little email goes out. Then the parent needs to enroll in the plan as the authorized user with authorized user credentials. If you enroll with the student credentials, you're not going to get those emails. So the first step in that case would be for the student to set you up as an authorized user so you can then use those authorized user credentials to enroll in the plan. This chart is on that yellow sheet. The enrollment fee for an annual payment plan is $150. I'll tell you how to interpret the chart. The enrollment dates are the dates that you can go in and enroll in that particular plan. Right now, the plan that's available opened on June 1st, and it's available till June 29th. It doesn't require a down payment, and the total number of payments would be 10, beginning on July 5th and going through to April 5th. If you don't enroll in that plan, the next one opens up on June 30th, goes to July 31st. That requires a 10% down payment, and there are 9 more installments, and those go from August 5th to April 5th. And if you look closely, you'll see that I use strike-through font, as Word calls it, for the payment plans that begin in August. And that's because those do not apply to you in this room if you want to avoid our late fee. Those are for students who haven't even been admitted to Del Val yet. We have to have payment plans right up to the time that school starts to give them an option to make payment arrangements. But anyone in this room, if you're going to use a payment plan for your satisfactory arrangements, you need to enroll in it by July 31st. And again, I want to repeat, if you're using an annual plan, that annual plan has to cover fall and spring. The system won't stop you from putting in too small of an amount, but we will see that it's too small and you'll get assessed a late fee. The fall term plan, again, the chart is on the yellow sheet. It's a $100 enrollment fee. For the fall plan, you only have to enroll with your fall charges. But I do want to mention, if you enroll in a fall term plan rather than an annual plan, you will not automatically be enrolled in a spring plan. You would have to go in and do a separate enrollment beginning in November and pay another enrollment fee to cover your spring charges. Our office also handles refunds for eligible students. We differentiate between refunds from financial aid or refunds from overpayments. And the way that we do that is we look at the total credit balance, as we call it, if there's a negative balance on the student's account. And if there's personal payments that are at least the amount of the credit balance, then we consider that an overpayment refund. Other than that, it's a financial aid refund. And it matters because financial aid refunds, we automatically process for the student when their account becomes eligible. Whereas overpayment refunds, the student has to request that overpayment refund from our office from their Del Val address. We do not refund pending aid, and for most of you, some of your aid is going to be pending until at least the first day of the term. The federal aid does not get dispersed until the beginning of the term, and alternative loans don't get dispersed until then. So we can't even begin to process a refund until that aid is dispersed to the account. And then we have an extensive process of internal controls to prevent fraud and mistakes. So it can take up to 2 weeks from start to finish for us to actually issue the refund. So this means then that from the time the term begins, it's the first 2 weeks when we can begin to process refunds, no earlier than that. We use 2 methods. If you sign up for an e-refund, that's a direct deposit refund, and that would be through TOUCHNET or paper checks. We give top priority to e-refunds, so we recommend that you set up an e-refund account, because during the first 4 weeks of the term, if you haven't set up an e-refund account, you're not going to get a refund. We don't start paper checks until after that. Paper checks are always payable to the student. So if the parent wants the refund, we don't have access to PLUS loan applications where you can check that you want all the excess money. So we can't go by that. The only way for the parent to receive the refund is if the parent works with the student to put the parent's banking information in for the e-refund account. And then the money would be direct deposited into the parent's account. That is the only way for the parent to get the refund money instead of the student. We do email the student's Del Val address when an e-refund begins to process or a check is ready to be picked up or mailed. There's a lot more information on refunds at delval.edu/refunds. This is just kind of a quick discussion about them. Now, I've been talking a lot about TOUCHNET, our online service provider. The student logs into TOUCHNET with the Del Val login credentials. They're exactly the same, but it is a separate login page. And then once you've logged in, this is the landing page that you see. And you can do a lot of things on here even before your charges start showing up. So the authorized users link, that is where you go in and sign up a parent as an authorized user so they can get e-bill notifications and they can go in and look at your account without calling you. The electronic refunds link, that's to sign up for the direct deposit refunds. The make payment link, that green one there, that is for making an individual payment. Please don't use that for a payment plan. It won't count as a payment plan towards your balance. If you want to enroll in a payment plan, you have to use the enroll in payment plan link. And I have a lot of these links circled in red. The consents and agreements link is a little less intuitive. That's where you opt into paper bills. If you can't live without paper bills between July and November, you can opt into paper statements by going into this consents and agreements link. The notifications link, that is where you can opt in if you want to get text messages when an e-bill is available, in addition to the email that we send out. And the view activity button, that's to view detailed transactions. Now, if you were to go in today, you're going to see, like this screenshot here, a balance of 0. We can't bill your charges in the system yet. We can't do that till early July. But once those charges and credits are on there, you're going to be able to see in that student account section there at the top the balance before and after pending financial aid. TOUCHNET calls it estimated aid. So since we only bill once a month, if you have a change in your account after you get that July bill, don't wait for the August bill because the payment deadline is the 31st of July. You can see your real-time account balance on this page so that you know how much to pay us. We also administer a prepaid program called RAM Dollars. This is an optional program. They're linked to the student's ID card. They're accepted in the bookstore, the pub, the coffee house in this building, Levin Dining Hall, and the market at Del Val. And there are two ways to purchase them. You can either purchase them with financial aid if you want to be able to get your books using your excess financial aid. Then you'll come to our office, you'll sign a RAM Dollars agreement, you'll tell us how many RAM Dollars you want to purchase with your pending credit balance. And then when you go to the bookstore, you'll tell them that you're using RAM Dollars to make your payment. And in this case, using your financial aid, you have to sign a new agreement every time you purchase more RAM Dollars. You want to make sure that you pre-price your books, used, new, rental, and then just ask for the minimum of RAM Dollars so that you can maximize the rest of your refund. And also because RAM Dollars don't expire, but they are not refundable. If you buy too much, you can't get them back till you graduate. So you only want to buy what you need. And the other place the other way to get books is you can just come and buy them from our office. You can buy them in person, but the most convenient way is you can get them through e-accounts through the Del Val website. And a parent can purchase RAM Dollars as a guest, or a student can buy them for themselves. And with the normal cash, check, or credit card in our office, or online, obviously you have to use the credit card. But the first time, the student has to sign a RAM Dollars agreement so we can activate RAM Dollars for them. It is considered an electronic funds transfer, so we have to have that signature the first time. But again, with financial aid, we have to have the signature every time. And those agreements are in our office. Okay, I've already talked with some of you about this. Most people think if they're the one paying the bills, they can just call our office and ask anything they want and we can tell them. And that is unfortunately not the case. There is an educational privacy law that is as strict as the medical HIPAA law. It's called FERPA, Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. It's from 1974, and it protects non-public student information, and we take it very seriously. So we cannot talk to somebody unless the student signs a paper release form telling us a specific individual and telling us what types of information we're allowed to release to that person. So some of you have already done this in front of me. It's the Some say it's pink, some say it's orange. It's in the student folder, and that's what has to be filled out. When someone calls us, we check that release form to see if we're allowed to talk to that person and what we're allowed to talk to them about. We do highly recommend that the students fill this out and check all 3 boxes for all 3 types of information so that we can work as a team with the people who are paying all of the bills. Paying the bill does not substitute for FERPA, as I've said. Authorized user status does not substitute for the FERPA release. So if your student sets you up as an authorized user in TOUCHNET, yeah, you can go in and see the account online, but that doesn't mean that we can talk to you. We have to have this paper release. And conversely, signing this release does not give you online access. That's a separate process. Student has to sign you up as an authorized user. So FERPA and authorized user are different things. And it's a one-way street. You can contact us. We do not contact you. So you have to call us if you have questions, even though we have your phone numbers and we do keep those just in case of an emergency. But in terms of regular communication, this is one way. You have to call, visit, or email us. And if you do email us and you ask for financial details, we send the reply to the student's DelVal address because we can't email financial details to a non-DelVal address. I want you to understand how we communicate here. You got a little hint of that a minute ago. We target our communications to students. And I mean that 2 ways. We target our communications. We don't just send general emails. When we send an email to a student's address, it's something that they need to know. But we only email students. We do not send reminder emails to parents. So how can the parent obtain information? Well, if your student signs the FERPA release, then you can call us, visit us, email us, and we will do our best to help you. So that's the best way to obtain detailed information. Or also, not or, and the student really should sign you up as an authorized user so you can go in and see that account 24/7. And read the comments on the bills. It's amazing how many people don't read those. Read and save the inserts that we're going to mail with the July bills. Don't throw them away. We expect you to know all the information in there. And study the Bursar web pages. There is so much information on there that I can't tell you today. Students, your homework. If you haven't already done it, sign the FERPA release. Complete the online health insurance waiver or enrollment if you don't have insurance. Log into TOUCHNET, start that now. Use your DelVal user ID and password, set up your authorized users, sign up for an e-refund, opt into paper statements if you want, opt into the text messages for e-bills, view your e-bill and monitor your account balance starting July 2nd. Help your parents to make the payment arrangements by July 31st. Make sure they make those arrangements by then to avoid that $200 late fee. Work as a team with the individuals who pay your bills. And please, above all, read your DelVal email. It's your work email. Your job as being a student, read it every day. And Joan mentioned yesterday that I forgot to mention, if the email talks about Inside DelVal, that's the school's online newsletter. Read Inside DelVal as well. There are a lot of important announcements in there. I can't stress this enough. So many problems could be avoided if a student just reads their DelVal email every day. So the important dates: June 30th, if you don't want the health insurance to even show on the bill, get that waiver done. July 2nd, fall term bills are mailed and posted online. July 31st is the deadline to make all of those satisfactory arrangements to avoid the $200 fall term late payment fee. September 21st, if you left it that long, get that insurance waived if you don't want to pay for it, because that's when we purchase a policy. And then for spring, the bills are going to go out starting November 15th, posted online and mailed. And the due date for making the arrangements and avoiding the $200 spring term late fee is December 15th. So I appreciate your listening. I know I've thrown a lot at you. Wait, there's more. I want to introduce Joan Hawk, the Director of Financial Aid, and she has even more information that you need to know. Thank you very much.
I wasn't paying any attention to Bonnie, sorry. Okay, so that was a little regroup, and then we'll talk about financial aid. I have some important information for folks regarding what's going on with financial aid now, as opposed to, months ago. So the first thing I want to share with you is, what do we do in the Office of Financial Aid besides send you mysterious letters and communications and sort of torture you maybe? I think we get that sometimes, but we really are here to help you. That's our mission in the Office of Financial Aid, to deal with the cost of your higher education. And we process federal, state, institutional dollars for our students. We process loans, both federal and private loan products. We do a lot of financial aid counseling with our students and families. And every student here has a dedicated financial aid advisor, and we segment them out by last name, and you can find that information on our website. We let students know about important scholarship opportunities that are for outside Delaware Valley University, or internal scholarships. How do you think we let students know about these opportunities for scholarship assistance? Email. Well, email is one, and in our particular situation, we use Inside Del Val, which comes in your email. But we encourage you to click on that and read that. We have a staff member, a graduate assistant, whose main responsibility is to let our students know about these opportunities. We also have on-campus employment. Some of these jobs flow through the Office of Financial Aid, and we also monitor academic progress of our students for federal, state, and institutional aid funds, which a lot of first-time folks don't know about, that financial aid is also involved in your grades, which we'll go into later. So, of course, if you've applied for need-based funds, you have filed the free application for federal student aid. Website's up here. This is the first process and step for any need-based financial aid program, including federal loans in the student's name, and including federal loan in the parent's name, which we'll get into a bit later. So if you're interested in a federal loan as a parent, we must have a federal aid application on file. If you haven't filed a FAFSA, you still can. It's not that painful as it once was, trust me. Although, easy for me to say, but it's changed quite a bit since I've been in the business. You're not filling out circles anymore and mailing it. So, verification. This is an important thing to know about when you file a federal aid application. Sometimes that application is picked to be verified. It's either picked by the Department of Ed, or our office will select that FAFSA to verify. We're asking for specific documents from the family, and we're verifying the information on that FAFSA form. Usually verification is triggered by the Department of Ed because they think there might be a mistake. That's why, generally. Or you're just lucky and get picked for verification, You can get picked every year, you can get picked one year, it could be anything. Or we will select it if we think there's a mistake, okay? And we want to have the most accurate information, obviously, to give you the most accurate award amounts. So if you've been selected for verification and we're asking for documents and you haven't sent those in yet, you want to get them in ASAP. Types of aid, well, we have gift aid, everybody's favorite. Gift aid you do not pay back. These are federal grants, state grants, some instances, and institutional grants and scholarships. And then we have what's termed as self-help aid. That simply means that the student is doing something in return for these federal funds. The two programs are Federal Work Study and the Federal Direct Loan Program. So this is a listing of typical grants a student will see in their financial aid award letter, Del Val Academic Scholarship. Most of our students are very good students, and they get a scholarship from admission. That is included on your financial aid award letter, that scholarship. We also could see a Pell Grant, federal Pell Grant, federal SEOG funds, institutional benefit grants, state grants, and any outside scholarship assistance that the student is receiving, if we know about it. And I'll get into that a little bit later. So if we know about it, we'll put it on that letter for the student. Pennsylvania residents in the room, this is the FEA grant. Do I have Pennsylvania people in the room? I'm sure I have a fair amount. Yes, we do. Well, the budget still isn't passed, as you know. Every July and June, I stand here and say the same thing. So that affects the FEA grant amounts. So we were just notified of the new amounts by the state, and we will be sending out letters to our students who qualify for this fund, okay? So be on the lookout for that. That's the website, FEA.org. If you have questions on your state grant, or your application is incomplete, or something's amiss, we will also communicate with the student, and FEA will communicate with the student if something's missing, okay? So please pay attention to that. If you're out of state, check with your state Department of Education to see if they reciprocate with Pennsylvania. New Jersey and New York do not, so don't bother calling. That won't happen. And that's, you know, our bordering states. So we also, I mentioned on-campus employment, some of which flows through our office. The two main programs are Federal Work Study, which is a federally funded program, and it's based on financial need. And then there's also what's called campus employment, and that's just a general fund where students can be employed on campus that don't qualify for work study, the need-based program. So there's plenty of opportunities to work here at Delaware Valley University. Federal work studies determined by the FAFSA, first and foremost. The amount shown on a student's award letter is the maximum they can work for the academic year. They can appeal that, but generally that's what we're allotting the student. Students will obtain their positions when they get to school at welcome weekend. Students can opt out of federal work study if you wish. Like, oh, I don't really feel I want to work while I'm in school. Keeping in mind, if you opt out, you will not be reassigned a federal work study position. You're back in the pool of students trying to get employment on campus. Students can sign over their earnings directly, if they wish, to their tuition. And that, I think Bonnie mentioned that in her presentation. Most of our students these days are just keeping this for spending money or for the necessary educational supplies that they need. The Office of Financial Aid will communicate with our students via email, your Del Val email, over the summer. So this should be your homework, you know, over the summer. Checking your Delaware Valley University email. And we will require a resume from our students. Everybody looks a little scared when I say that. But we're starting to get our students used to the world of work once they graduate, and this is part of our E360 mission. So we include that in our work, study, and campus employment process. And we send the students a template and helpful information if they do not yet have a resume. At this point, I'd like to introduce Tracy from our Human Resources Department, who's going to give a very brief overview for our work study students or anyone who wishes to work on campus about the process, because we all have jobs and we know how hard it is to fill out all that paperwork. So we want to give our students a heads up. So I'll turn it over to Tracy for a moment.
I am the payroll administrator in the Human Resources Department. I don't handle the students, but I do oversee most of it. This is Paige. She's our Human Resource Coordinator, and she will help get you established in the ADP, collect I-9s. I-9 is a very important thing because it's a federal requirement, so we have to fill out one of them, and hopefully you did get an email that said that if you were scheduled to do the work study, that you brought your information today, because we will be upstairs later in the day to try to set you up in ADP, which is the program that we use for payment. We have payments, we have an election of 2 payments. We don't do live checks on campus. We are green, so you can choose either to have your check direct deposited, or you can choose an A-line card, which is essentially a debit card that comes from ADP that you can use as a card anywhere, like a debit card would. If you have your documentation, we will see you at 3. It's not, we will take your I-9, your addresses. We will get you set up in the new hire process in ADP, and then I will sit there and register you and walk you through ADP. So this is where you're going to keep your hours. Once you are assigned a position on campus, where you're going to put your, you'll go into ADP, you'll keep your hours, your supervisor will approve them, and then you'll get paid at the end of every 2 weeks. Is that another slide? I did that. Yeah, I did. So hopefully we'll see everybody at 3 that is eligible for work study. If you didn't bring your stuff, you can get a head start on it. You can take your, if you didn't bring your IDs, we can work around that. We can, if you didn't bring your direct deposit stuff, we can certainly work around that too. We'll just get your signature and we'll catch up with you during the summer. But if you have any other questions, please come at 3 and we'll be happy to answer them. And congratulations, and look forward to seeing everybody next year. Is that it?
Thank you, Tracy.
Yes. Oh, I didn't do that one.
Oh, it's okay. Thank you, Tracy. It's very important. Tracy's very important. She gives me my paycheck too. So, thank you. So, we also have work study that flows with assigned through the Office of Financial Aid. Students can apply for jobs on campus through our campus employment program as well. Applications will be available after August 1 for our incoming students. Interviews start at the beginning of the fall semester. Resumes again will be required, so bring those along with you. And of course, the new hire process has to be gone through, as Tracy mentioned. There's a lot of steps to that. I want to reiterate that Tracy and her team will be upstairs in room 206 at the computer area today if you want to take care of some of this new hiring procedures in advance to welcome weekend. So when I skip from work study, I go directly to federal loans, everybody's favorite. But it is part of the Office of Financial Aid responsibility to offer federal loans to our students because you all qualify if you file a federal aid application. So these loans are in 2 forms. They're subsidized and they are unsubsidized. And any student who applies for financial aid with a FAFSA will get an award letter, will have these loans listed on their award letter. First, here's the interest rate. This year it's 5.05 for both types of loans, and the fee is 1.069. They make it easy. So those interest rates did go up a bit from last year. Freshmen can borrow a total of $5,500 for the year. And depending on the student's need or the FAFSA, they may be eligible for up to $3,500 of that in subsidized form. Subsidized simply means the government is paying the interest while the student's in school. That's what that means. So that's the best form of the loan. Okay, so interest is not accruing at all while the student's enrolled. The unsubsidized loan does accrue interest while the student is enrolled, quarterly, at that rate. And you can choose to pay the interest while you're in school or not. Where you choose that is on the master promissory note or what's called the loan agreement. All first-time students who are taking out these loans must fill out a master promissory note, or you may see it termed as a loan agreement, and that's the loan papers, if you will. You do this online and you're acknowledging your rights and responsibilities and that it is a loan. So that must be completed, as well as entrance counseling. And it's all done online, and we have instructions for all our students. Our students must complete this process, not the parent, because I have that sometimes. The parent's like, oh, I'll fill it out, but you can't do that. These steps are required one time. So it'll be on your little to-do list, because most of our new students have not done this yet, but it is required. So then we get into the other federal loan product that's offered, which is a PLUS loan for a parent. This is a loan in the name of the parent, not the student. The parent's taking out this federal loan on behalf of the student to meet their educational costs. You can borrow up to the cost of attendance. The cost of attendance is found on our website. Incidentally, everything I'm talking about right now is on our website. So don't get alarmed if you don't have this link or this or that. This presentation will also be on the orientation website. Okay, so we'll have the speakers up as well if you get confused with anything. The interest rate was just published for the PLUS. It's 7.6%. That's a fixed interest rate over the life of the loan. It's a 10-year loan. And the fee, which is a little over 4%. The fees come out of the disbursement on a PLUS loan. There are 2 steps to apply. This is a very popular loan for our parents, in particular first-year parents. You have to apply for it. There's the website on the slide, studentloans.gov. It's also on our website. You go through a credit check. You're told immediately whether you're approved or not. You can apply for the maximum. You can apply for what you want for the year. It's flexible. There's no debt-to-income ratio check. There's no, it's a very flexible loan. If you're approved for a PLUS, then you also have to sign a master promissory note, of course, the loan papers. So again, I want to reiterate, this is a PLUS loan is for a parent. Now, if a parent is denied on this loan, then the student, you have a couple options. You can appeal the credit decision or get an endorser. If you appeal successfully or get an endorser or co-signer, then the parent has to go through some credit counseling. That's a requirement for the feds too. And I say the feds by U.S. Department of Education. So in case there's any federal people in the room. So if the student, if you accept the denial, then the student's eligible for another $4,000 on the unsubsidized loan program automatically, just because the PLUS is denied. But you can appeal or have a cosigner. So if we get notification that the PLUS is denied, we will automatically process the additional $4,000 unsubsidized loan for the student. There's also private loan products for our students. These are not federal loans. You apply with our participating bank, and we have tools for you to take a look at these loan products. You don't walk into the bank and say, I need a education loan. This is all online world, typically. They're variable rates, fixed rates on these loans. Students will need a cosigner for a private loan in the student's name. Again, you can borrow up to the cost of attendance if you wish, and you can defer this loan while you're enrolled in school. However, some lenders, rightfully so, are requiring our students to pay interest, a minimum interest payment, while enrolled, okay? Because you don't want that interest to keep building, right? PLUS loans can also be deferred, by the way, while the child's in school. And a parent can choose to either make payments, interest payments, or no payments at all. So they're kind of flexible in this way, both programs. On our website, on our financing options page, we have some interactive tools to see what lenders are out there. You can shop around to see the interest rates, do calculations, all types of things. If you apply for these types of loans, I think it's a 30-day window. It's kind of like a mortgage. You don't get a hit on your credit if you're shopping, price shopping for this type of thing. How much to borrow? I mentioned the cost of attendance. The cost of attendance is on the Bursar's website. It's our direct cost for the school, tuition fees, room and board, plus books, plus an allowance for personal expenses. All that bundled together. You can borrow up to that amount. You don't have to. It's another $2,800 over and above what it costs to come here, but you do have that option if you need to borrow for books and things like that. On our webpage, we have an interactive tool for you to calculate either a plus loan or a private loan. You borrow for the year, not for the semester. You can for the semester, but my advice is not to. You want to get the whole year over with. So when Bonnie sends you a bill, you're like, oh, we're taken care of, okay? You don't want to go through 2 credit checks either. So we do tend to do these things for the year. We're here to help you with all this because it can be a little overwhelming. Outside scholarships. If our students, and many of them do, get an outside scholarship from some type of organization, the church, the school, whatever, if you send that information to either the Office of Financial Aid or to the Bursar's office from the organization, we'll put it on the financial aid award letter as a pending fund coming to that student, okay, if we know about it. So we'll have it right out there for you to do these calculations. We credit the student's account, obviously, when we get the money from the scholarship organization. Now, if you get a bunch of scholarships or a huge scholarship, sometimes it can affect other aid. Typically, it affects a loan. You can't have more than the cost of attendance, right? So if you borrowed up to the cost of attendance and you get a $5,000 scholarship, something's going away. That's unusual. But I just want to let you know things can change. Most typically what changes is a subsidized loan might change to an unsubsidized loan. It's a big math problem. And if that happens to the student, we will notify the student what the change is, okay? When we're required to do that. Additional payment options, Bonnie might have went through some of these. I just went through outside scholarships, you know. You can still look for these things. We have tools in the aid office for our students. We advertise on Inside Del Val, of course, for things once you're a student here. There's home equity loans, 529 plans that you may have, the Del Val payment plan Bonnie talked about. You can do a combination of the payment plan and a loan. There's a million ways, well, not a million, but there's many ways to handle the tuition costs. Because you may not want to borrow everything. I can put some on the payment plan and borrow the rest for the year, okay? And we help you with those decisions in our office. Every family sitting in the room today is different. Everybody's unique in the way that they're going to handle the educational costs with the assistance of the aid office. If by now you haven't received the financial aid award letter and you file the FAFSA, there's a couple reasons why that may have happened. You send it to the student and it's nowhere to be found. That happens sometimes. It's under the bed or mixed in with something. If you don't know where that is, this is the point you want to contact the Office of Financial Aid. If there's no award letter and you file the FAFSA, there's either something wrong with the federal aid application and we can't offer any federal, state, or institutional assistance so we get it straightened out, or we're missing some documents, things of that nature. So that's what we're here for, and we're here today, and I'll get into that at the end of the presentation. You can come visit us today if you wish to check on some of these things. Students, this is for you. Financial aid self-service. Who's been on the portal, students, already? Who's kind of fussed around in there? Has anyone gone into self-service yet? Yes? No? Probably no. If you go into self-service, there's several things students can do in this section of our portal. One of which is to enter the financial aid arena. So you click on self-service, enter self-service, and you'll have options in there to choose financial aid, student planning. There's a bunch of different things you can choose. So financial aid self-service is a new service that we're offering our students this year. So if there's any software issues, you'll be the first to tell us, okay? It's an interactive, robust information center for students to view everything about their financial aid. One-stop shop, if you want to call it that. And this particular student says their aid is ready and they can go take a look at it. Students will have an individualized checklist. And you also have an individualized checklist in your packets today. And our site gives you a list of things that you may have to do to complete your financial aid awards, okay? In this particular student, they can accept their aid. What else can they do? They need to do their master promissory note and entrance counseling. If you have to do something, it's in yellow. If you've already done it, it's in green. It's pretty intuitive. So you guys can check that out in your spare time today. If you feel like looking at your financial aid, any feedback is appreciated. On the right-hand side are resources for our students. Students can get a financial aid history on here. They can see how much they've borrowed. And their financial aid counselor is listed on this page, practically on every page. They can have direct contact with that individual. Every year, you need to take a look at your loans and accept them or decline them. And we do that for a reason. We want our students to know that they have a loan and they're accepting that loan, okay? Now, this is a little new. We've sent you guys your financial aid award letters, and you may have kind of sent your award letter in and signed it. We still want you to accept your loan because there's important information in there. And when you're in there, or decline it, either one, when you're in there, it takes you to links and tells you even more stuff about your loan, okay? And then we're notified that you accepted your loan. So that's a task that you want to complete over the summer, and we'll keep bugging you until you take care of that. And it'll tell you if you're missing anything. Now, I alluded to the fact that grades matter, and that the Office of Financial Aid also looks at student academic progress. The term that the government uses for this is called satisfactory academic progress, and sometimes you may see it the word SAP as an abbreviation. For federal aid, there's a specific stuff that you have to meet as students. For first-year students, the GPA is a 1.75 cumulative at the end of spring. If you're not at a 1.75 at the end of spring, we only look at it once a year, then you've lost all aid eligibility, okay? I see some flasks coming out. No, that's it. This doesn't happen often, but you have to be aware that this is, a lot of first-time parents don't realize that we're looking at this. And there's a PACE requirement. PACE simply means how far are you progressing towards your degree based on the credits that you're attempting to take, and the standard is 67%, and that goes through the whole cycle. Now that 1.75 is for 32 attempted credits. As you're a student at Del Val, that GPA requirement goes up. This is generally for a first-year student here. If you don't successfully complete a course, either fail it or you have to withdraw from it, that is an attempted course. So that's why we have that word attempted. So, what I want every student to do, because it's very thrilling to read a 5-page satisfactory academic progress policy, is to seriously read through it, because this can happen. And we're required by the Department of Ed to monitor every student, graduate student and doctoral student. There are certain requirements. If a student doesn't pass satisfactory academic progress, and it happens, because life happens, there is a very clear-cut appeal process, okay? Summer school, students get sick, there might have been something traumatic that happened in the family. That's what the appeal process is for. So there's the standard, and then there's the appeal process, okay? So I want to make sure, you know, not all is not lost. We have some students in summer school and doing various things. Merit scholarships that you receive from admissions also have a grade point average requirement, and we monitor that in the Office of Financial Aid. So it can result in a reduction if you're not quite at the level that you were expected to. We monitor those quite carefully, and there's also an appeal process in place for that. You can appeal anything, basically. So we also monitor state grant completion requirements, which is 24 credits an academic year. All this is found in the policy. If you go to financial aid self-service, it's right there for the students, and it's on our webpage. So I encourage you to take a look at it. Important tips: file your FAFSA every year. It's coming up already in October, where you can file your FAFSA again. And we also have a financial aid awareness day through our office where we help students with their FAFSA. We have scholarship applications and a lot of information for our students. Read your Del Val email and Inside Del Val. Students take ownership of this process because everything's coming to you. We're not sending anything to your parent. As Bonnie mentioned, you know, the FERPA thing. And in your packets, there's a finalizing your enrollment checklist. I believe there's a paper in there. You want to take a look at that. You'll have a personalized one. It gives you an overview of the tasks, administrative tasks that you're to do before you start school in the fall to help you transition. The more you get done earlier, the better it is. So that's why you have this little checklist. It's not all inclusive. There's other things like housing. So check your folders, and it's also online, the checklist, and there's a personalized list in your folder today. So take a look at that. Questions? There's never questions in financial aid, so we'll skip that. I'm only kidding. But we're here today till 4:30. If you haven't made an appointment with the Office of Financial Aid this morning, you can still come up and visit us. We're happy to address any personalized questions that you have. All our contacts on the webpage, as is this presentation, will be on orientation, right, Andrew, at some point? The whole thing. So, congratulations on your acceptance to the university. We're very excited to see you today, and have a great rest of your time here.